my thoughts were, oh, this is gonna be pretty easy, this seems pretty good.
Oh, child, please. Child, please, girl. This year, I cried the most.
And you know what has made me cry the most during the entirety of my teenage experience? The IB program.
Welcome to IB Confessionals, where IB students tell you the truth about IB. Note that this is not intended to be an informative video about the structure and components of IB, but is a reflection of our experience as IB students.
Would I recommend to a family member or a friend to do the program? I don't know.
So when I tell you that I would rather go through heartbreak after heartbreak than go through the IB program a second time, that's not an exaggeration, that is not a hyperbole.
This year I definitely had my fair share of mental breakdowns. I am not proud to say it, but it happened. It really did. Not in the first year, in year 11, like, it's a breeze.
Year 11 was a breeze. Year 11 was really a breeze. Maybe because, I don't know, it'll be different for everyone. But for me personally, it went like that. And then all of a sudden, you're dropped into year 2.
And then it sort of changed. The workload got a little bit harder. That's when I started to sort of go downhill.
The stuff that counts towards your score, all of that happens in year 12. So it kind of just hits you and yeah, it takes you by surprise.
And you know, add year 12, but then add COVID and put that together. It was truly a lot for the girls to handle. For me, I cried. I cried on numerous occasions. Insert one clip here.
The IB is just not letting me succeed. Oh, this is just all too much. Nah, I can't. Where's the reset button? Oh my days.
Yup, I was sobbing.
It is a lot of emotional and mental strain.
There was definitely a lot of mental breakdowns. I'm really not proud of the amount that I had. We literally had a tally.
We made a chart of mental breakdowns during the course of this program.
So this is the table of mental breakdowns. Some of the data is missing because not all cries were recorded. However, this does give the general idea as to how much we cried this year. And you can see that the general trend is we cried a lot in that first term in February and March.
So you can imagine for the first term, it's definitely shell shock because you're like, oh my God.
And I think the reason why I cried so much this year was because as a student, I don't care about anything at all. That's how I've been for the majority of my school life. But entering into year 12, I started to put that pressure on myself because I wanted to do well. So I forced myself to stress, and I guess I wasn't used to that. And that's probably why I broke down so much. Entering into the IB program, just be aware that will happen. You probably will cry.
Just cry. You didn't do IB if you did not cry.
And if you haven't cried, then you're not doing something right. Like, I'm so sorry. That's literally just the truth of the matter.
That speaks for itself.
And let me tell you something now. A lot of people would be like, oh my God, like, why would you cry? Like, crying doesn't fix anything. Babe, in the moment, crying was what needed to happen.
That was the easiest way to let myself like deal with all this. So just cry and go to sleep, take a little nap, and you'll feel better in the morning.
It's always good to have a nice cry. That's not my words because I hate crying, but my friends definitely think that it's good to have a good cry. Anyway.
It's definitely not all doom and gloom, but the purpose of this video is sort of to just give you the raw experience. Things that perhaps you may not have been told or teachers might not tell you, and also just to give it to you from the perspective of students. Students being students will always complain about the negatives and not really focus on the positives, but there are positives to IB.
You know, I think this course has definitely made me realise certain things, made me find and learn more about myself. Like, I now know that learning a language is hard, it's not easy, but I also know that psychology is, you know, an aspect that I would want to do when I leave school. You know, it's something that interests me. So I've definitely learnt more about myself as opposed to learning more academics, which I think is an important thing, because I think if you don't learn more about yourself at the end of this 2-year course, then there's something wrong.
I have discovered myself as a learner and as a student, especially in processes like EE writing, where you're literally directing the writing of a 4,000 word essay. Like, it's all self-driven, all pushed by you. So you have to learn who you are, if that makes sense. Like, you have to come to terms with who you are as a learner, and that helps you, I think, going forward and in life in general. Just being able to identify what kind of person you are when it comes to being a student, when it comes to learning.
I'm literally much more confident in myself now completing my studies, and that seems really hard to think, like confidence with IB, but being surrounded by the people you are in class with, and you learn so much about everyone, because you know you're in your program together for like 2 years. You learn from other people, and you know you make so many, you know, good friendships.
What are some of my fun memories during the IB? They're definitely all centered around my friends, because, you know, the popular girls. But fun memories. Oh, I feel like one of them was we went to the Werribee River because we were creating a mesocosm in biology. So we went down, like, we had lunch and then we went down to the Werribee River, and that was funny because we all were acting like we were freaking David Attenborough and just knew what the hell was going on. That was really funny. I just think there's just random, like, moments, like just being in class, like
Class banter, if you will.
just things that have just been funny, like just conversations, like psychology, like when we started talking about like attraction, because that's the topic we were doing for personal relationships, and we're just going off about, you know, what we liked, what we were attracted to, and just stuff like that are funny and they're memorable. Another one would be swimming carnival. Yeah, swimming carnival, we dressed up as eshais. And if you don't know, an eshai is the Australian version of gangsters, but make them 12 years old. So we decided to take the piss at some of the younger personalities in our school that believe that they are gangsters, you know. Anyway, so we decided to dress up as them, got our bum bags, you know, track pants, 97s, TNs, the whole spiel. That was us, and it was so funny. It was such a fun time. Other funny memories? I don't know, like...
That was literally it. Because IB was not fun.
Would I recommend the IB to a person I know? That's a really good question. The simple answer is...
I wasn't expecting that question.
That's the answer. The simple answer is, I don't know.
Look, I actually have a sister who wants to do IB, and I haven't stopped her or held her back. I've just told her, look, this is how I went through it. And I think that is also the main thing as well. It's all very subjective.
It's all based on the individual. Do you really want to challenge yourself? Do you really want to build your character? Do you think, like, having personal development is worth sacrificing your free time spent with your friends, having fun, you know, living life, enjoying your year 12 experience? Do you think that it's worth it?
If you are looking for a challenge, and if you can, like, cope with stress, or you want to learn how to cope with stress, definitely do the IB. If you're just looking to, you know, to do the bare minimum to get into uni, then don't do IB, because it's not worth it then. But yeah, if you are looking to grow and you're looking for a challenge, then IB is the way.
If you do decide to do the IB program, then I have a plethora of advice for you. Number one, be organized. And you're going to hear this from everyone who's ever done the IB program. Everyone. And people are going to tell you not to procrastinate. All true things, all very true things and very important things, but you're going to do it. You're going to procrastinate. And you're going to not be organized. And you're going to underestimate the value of these things. But you need to start planning. Okay, plan. And it's really hard to develop study habits. Habits are hard to develop, and so always try to get a head start when you can. Don't wait till last minute because you don't want to catch up on all of it. Everything in IB requires you to be consistently on the run. It's a marathon. It's not a race where you just try to zoom to the end because you won't have enough energy. If you go little by little, then you'll make it to the end.
And although I still don't really want to be at school, I'm sort of glad I stayed because now I can say that, you know, I didn't quit. I didn't give up easy. I didn't just, you know, leave when it got too hard. I actually stayed and I did this. Like, I stayed in this 2-year course. It was very hard and it took a lot out of me. But I feel like coming out of the end of it, like, I'm a different person in a good way.
I really hope that I'll be able to enter into university grateful for the skills that I've picked up in IB. But whether that's worth, you know, all the pressure, I don't know, that's up to you to decide. And I encourage you to do, you know, to also do further research and decide for yourself whether IB is something that you want to consider. If you're someone who has gone through the IB program, congratulations, you know, well done. It takes a lot, and just know that you are incredibly resilient and strong. So you should be proud of yourself.